A maid was never meant to touch the vampire king, let alone kiss him. But when Aldrich Wexler collapsed in front of Leora Hale, dying from a poison no immortal could survive, one impossible choice bound their worlds forever. And what awakened inside him terrified everyone. Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now, let us begin. Rain always fell differently in Seattle. It didn't crash or roar. It whispered against the glass towers like a warning, soft but relentless. On the 92nd floor of the Wexler Tower, Leora Hale shivered as the elevator hummed upward, carrying her into a world she didn't belong in. The cleaning agency uniform felt too thin for the cold. Her caramel blonde hair was tied in a bun that never stayed neat, and her hazel eyes reflected the exhaustion she'd been fighting for months. But quitting wasn't an option. Not when her mom back in South Carolina still needed medication. Not when her father still pretended everything was fine after his business failed. Not when she had bills stacked like skyscrapers themselves. She inhaled deeply as the elevator beeped. 92, penthouse level. The doors slid open, and the cold air hit her immediately. Pure, sterile, expensive. Everything about Aldrich Wexler's penthouse floors felt like stepping into a museum run by a perfectionist ghost. Silent. Still. Too clean to be human. Which, she figured, made sense. She'd heard the rumors, everyone who worked for him had, that the billionaire CEO barely slept, that he fired people without blinking, that he didn't tolerate noise, mistakes, or perfume, that his eyes were too silver to be natural. But gossip stayed gossip. And Leora? She was too busy trying to survive to care. She pushed her cleaning cart forward, its wheels barely making a sound on the polished marble. Tonight's assignment was the hallway leading to Aldrich's private office. She had never been inside it. No one had, except assistants and security. She preferred it that way. The last thing she needed was to be noticed by a man powerful enough to crush someone's life with a whisper. She stopped to take out her glass spray when a voice came from behind her. "You're here early." She jumped, hand flying her chest. One of the security guards, a tall man with sandy brown hair and the build of someone who lifted cars for fun, gave her an apologetic half-smile. "Sorry, didn't mean to scare you." "You didn't," she lied. The guard glanced at his tablet. "Mr. Wexler is in his office." "Don't cross the frosted line," he said, pointing to where the hallway light subtly changed color. "He doesn't want the staff going past that point tonight." "Understood," she said quickly. He gave one last look, studying her as guards often did, then walked off. Leora exhaled slowly. "Okay, just glass. Just wipe. Just leave." She worked fast and quiet, her small hands moving with practiced grace. Wipe, polish, straighten. Her movements were efficient, almost soothing. Cleaning might not have been glamorous, but it gave her control, a kind of control she didn't have anywhere else in life. Halfway through the hallway, she paused. Her reflection winked back at her from the floor-to-ceiling windows, Seattle's skyline glittering behind like a dream she couldn't touch. Sometimes she wondered what her life would look like if everything hadn't fallen apart, if she hadn't had to leave college, if her father had asked for help sooner. If she didn't have to pretend she wasn't terrified of losing everything. She sighed and pushed the cart again. And then, crash. Glass shattered. Leora froze. The sound came from the office. Her heart thudded against her ribs as she stepped toward the line she wasn't supposed to cross. "Hello," she called softly. No answer. Just a second crash. Deeper, heavier. Something in her gut twisted. She crossed the line. Slowly, carefully, she pushed open the door, and the world she knew ended. Aldrich Wexler, the untouchable, emotionless billionaire, was on the floor. His body spasmed violently, his pale skin turning an unnatural shade of gray. His veins pulsed with black streaks like liquid shadows crawling beneath his skin. His fingers curled into claws against the marble. His breath came in shallow, broken gasps. His eyes, his eyes, glowed faint silver as if fighting to stay open. "Aldrich," she whispered, not realizing she said his name out loud. He didn't respond. He couldn't. 3 guards burst into the room. Damn it, the venom's spreading. He's going into cardiac shutdown. We need to stabilize him. Their voices overlapped in panic. Panic she'd never seen from the stone-faced men before. One guard lifted Aldrich's wrist, checking something Leora couldn't see. Another tore open a black case filled with syringes and vials. He grabbed one, injected it into Aldrich's neck. Nothing happened. Again, the first guard barked. A second injection. Still nothing. Leora stepped backward, heart racing. What's happening to him? The tallest guard whipped his head toward her. You need to leave. Now. But she didn't move. She couldn't. Her eyes stayed glued to Aldrich, the man who walked the halls like he was carved from ice. The man who never looked anyone in the eye for more than a second. The man who once quietly paid for her bus pass after she lost her wallet, pretending it was a system error. The man who fired a chef for calling her sweetheart in a disgusting tone. She didn't know him anything, but she wasn't the kind of person who ran. A fourth guard rushed in, breathless. The toxin's confirmed. It's the engineered variant. His heart is slowing to stopping speed. He has 2 minutes. Call the elixir unit. They're 20 minutes out. He'll be dead in 3. Leora didn't understand everything they said, but she understood enough. Aldrich was dying. Her throat tightened painfully. What do we do? There has to be something, she cried. All the guards exchanged a look. The look of men who knew the truth, but didn't want to say it. Finally, one spoke. There is one protocol. Then do it. Leora snapped. We can't, the guard said grimly. It has to be a human, and the human has to act on their own. It won't work if we force it. What protocol? She whispered. Another guard stepped forward, jaw tight. It's called a heart reboot kiss. Leora blinked. What? The human transfers life, energy, through a kiss. It can jumpstart a vampire system. Her eyes widened. That sounds insane. It's ancient, unpredictable, and fatal to the human more than half the time. Leora felt her blood go cold. Fatal? Yes, the guard said. Humans aren't built to survive that kind of energy drain. Whoever does it could pass out for hours, days, or worse. The room fell silent. Aldrich convulsed again, a pain sound tearing from his throat. The sight shattered something inside her. She couldn't explain the feeling. It came like a punch of fear and anger and desperation all at once. This cold, distant man didn't deserve to die like an animal on a marble floor. Not after the quiet ways he had protected her. Not after the respect he showed without words. Not after the moments where she caught him glancing at her, like she was something he didn't understand but couldn't ignore. Her heart hammered. Her palms sweated. Her mind screamed. But her feet moved anyway. Leora stepped forward. The guards blocked her instantly. No, one said firmly. You don't understand what you're doing. She swallowed hard. He's dying. Or am I wrong? None of them answered. She took another step. He saved me, she whispered, voice breaking. More than once. And he didn't have to. The tallest guard shook his head. You're not strong enough. You're just. Don't finish that sentence, she snapped, surprising even herself. They stared at her. Leora looked down at Aldrich one last time. At his trembling hands, his barely open eyes, his lips parted as if begging for breath. She sighed shakily. You don't get to die. Not like this. She knelt. The air crackled. The guards froze, none daring to interfere. Leora gently lifted Aldrich's face, her hands trembling as she pressed her lips to his. For one terrible second, nothing happened. Then, a blast of white light erupted from her chest, shooting into Aldrich like a lightning strike. His body arched upward, veins glowing blinding silver as the venom burned out. The lights flickered violently. A deep vibration shook the entire tower. Get back, a guard shouted. But Leora couldn't move, not until Aldrich finally inhaled a deep, powerful breath like someone rising from the dead. His eyes snapped open. Silver, bright, alive. And then, a mark ignited on Leora's wrist, glowing silver like a tiny flame. The guard stared in horror. That's impossible. A royal bond mark. After 900 years. Aldrich slowly sat up, his voice dark and resonant. No one touches her. A pause. No one commands her. Another pause. She is mine to protect. Leora swayed, dizzy, her vision blurred. Aldrich caught her before she hit the ground, his cold hands suddenly very, very gentle. She tried to breathe, to focus, but her body felt drained, hollow, floating. His voice echoed through her fading consciousness. Leora, stay with me. But she couldn't. Everything went black. Wait before I continue. Hit the subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because the next part is insane. Darkness wasn't empty. It pulsed. It breathed. It whispered. Leora drifted through the void like she was underwater, her body weightless, her mind floating between sleep and something deeper. For a moment, she wondered if she was dead. If the light she felt inside her chest had burned too bright, too fast, too violently. But then she felt something cold and steady brushing her cheek. A hand. A voice followed, low and smooth, speaking her name like a command and a prayer. Leora, open your eyes. Her eyelashes fluttered. Shapes formed. Shadows sharpened. And slowly, gently, she blinked her way back into the world. The first thing she saw were two silver eyes staring into hers, bright, alive, burning with emotion she didn't understand. Aldrich Vexler. She inhaled sharply. His face hovered above hers, closer than she'd ever imagined. Angular, perfect, intimidating, yet softened with something dangerously close to concern. He looked less like a king and more like a man pulled apart by fear. Good, he whispered. You're awake. His voice vibrated through her bones, deep and resonant, echoing with something inhuman. She tried to sit up, but her head spun violently. Aldrich's hand slid behind her back, holding her steady. No sudden movements, he murmured. You burned through more life energy than any human I've ever seen. She swallowed. Her throat was dry. Did it work? She managed. Aldrich's expression shifted, something sharp and haunted flickering across his face. Yes, he said quietly. You saved me. Her breath caught. She looked down at her wrist. The glowing mark was still there, pale silver, shaped like a flame curled around a crescent. It shimmered softly, pulsing with her heartbeat. What is this? She whispered. Aldrich didn't answer immediately. He just looked at her wrist with a stare so intense it stole her breath. The room around them was dim, lit only by soft blue lights. She realized she wasn't in the office anymore. She was in a bedroom. His bedroom. The air smelled faintly of cedar and storm rain. Why am I here? She asked, panic pricking her voice. I don't remember. You collapsed, Aldrich said. Your pulse dropped dangerously low. Moving you anywhere else would have killed you. His tone was calm, but his eyes betrayed everything. The fear he tried to hide, the relief he couldn't. Leora pressed a hand to her forehead. I feel drained. You should, a voice said sharply. She flinched as one of the guards, the tall one with sandy brown hair, stepped into the room. His expression was tight with irritation and worry. You should not have done that, he said. You're lucky to be alive. Aldrich's jaw tightened. Leon, enough. But sire, I said enough. The guard fell silent instantly. Sire, Leora blinked. Wait, is that what you really are? A king. Aldrich exhaled slowly and sat on the edge of the bed beside her, giving her just enough space to breathe, but not enough to escape the weight of his presence. I wasn't planning to tell you, he admitted. Not this soon. But you are. His eyes held hers. Yes. Her heart hammered, her pulse racing so fast she could feel it in her fingertips. What are you king of? She whispered. Aldrich didn't blink. The Western Vampire Dominion. Leora's stomach dropped. She laughed once, weak, breathless. That's not funny. Aldrich's expression never changed. It's not meant to be. Her breath stuttered. Everything she had seen, the way he healed, the glow, the claws, the silver eyes, it all suddenly made sense. Oh my God, she whispered. You really are. A vampire, he finished softly. Yes. Her chest constricted. She stared at him, really stared at him, and for the first time, she realized he wasn't pale because he was cold. He was pale because he wasn't human. And yet, he looked at her like she was the only living thing in the room. Leon stepped closer. We need to explain the mark. She doesn't understand the danger. I know, Aldrich said quietly. Danger? Leora echoed. Aldrich turned toward her, his expression unreadable. The mark on your wrist, he said, voice low. It's called an eternal bond seal. That sounded bad. Why do I have it? Because you awakened it, Leon said bluntly. It only appears when a human's energy is compatible with a vampire king's. It hasn't happened for centuries. Leora's heart stopped. I didn't ask for that, she whispered. No one ever does, Aldrich replied gently. She shook her head. Doesn't mean I'm linked to you? Aldrich's gaze softened, but his voice stayed firm. It means you are connected to my life force. When you kissed me, you didn't just save me. You bound yourself to me. Leora felt faint again. No, she breathed. No, I can't. I'm just a maid. I clean windows. I sweep floors. I don't belong in vampire politics. Leon crossed his arms. Funny, because right now, every supernatural faction within the Dominion is talking about you. Some think you're a miracle. Others think you're a threat. A threat, she croaked. Aldrich's expression darkened, cold and dangerous. Some will try to use you. Some will try to hurt you. Some will try to take you. Leora's eyes widened in terror. Aldrich leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. And none of them will succeed. It wasn't said like a promise. It was said like a declaration of war. Her breath trembled. I don't understand any of this, she whispered. I was just doing my job. I didn't mean for this to happen. Aldrich paused, deeper silence, heavier. Then he reached out and gently touched the glowing mark on her wrist. Leora shivered. Neither did I, he murmured. Silence stretched between them. Tense, charged, confusing. Then Leon cleared his throat. We need to discuss her safety. Aldrich straightened, instantly becoming the king again. Yes, the Dominion will demand a statement. A public one? No, but the council will not stay silent. They'll want proof she's unharmed. He paused. They will also want to know if the bond is active. Leora stiffened. Active? What does that mean? Leon grimaced. It means nothing you need to worry about yet. Aldrich cut in sharply. The guard shot him a look. A bond mark isn't decorative, Leon muttered. Leon, Aldrich warned. The guard shut his mouth. But Leora saw it. There was something she wasn't being told. Something big. Something dangerous. Aldrich, she whispered. Am I in danger? Aldrich's jaw tightened. You are protected. That's not the same as safe. His eyes flickered with something like frustration mixed with guilt. No, he admitted. It's not. Her chest tightened with fear. Aldrich leaned in again, closer than he had any right to be, and tilted her chin up with one cold, steady finger. You saved my life, he said softly. In doing so, you became something precious in this world. Precious things attract attention. Her breath caught. And I will not allow anything to harm you. There was again the quiet power in his voice, the kind that didn't need shouting, the kind that vibrated through the bones of anyone within earshot. No vampire, hunter, council member, or rogue faction will come near you. Not while I live. She swallowed. And if you die, she whispered. Aldrich held her gaze. Then the bond kills you too. Her blood froze. She jerked her wrist back as if burned. What? She gasped. Aldrich, that's insane. Why would it work like that? Because, Leon said, eternal bonds were created in the old world when vampire kings didn't choose partners. Destiny did. It's not love. It's not romance. It's a survival link. Aldrich's expression tightened at Leon's bluntness. Leora's voice broke. So I can't leave? Ever. Aldrich inhaled slowly, as if each breath was a struggle. You can move wherever you like within my territory, he said gently. Her heart dropped. That's not freedom, she whispered. That's safety, Aldrich corrected. Pain stabbed through her chest. She turned her head away, blinking back burning tears. She didn't ask for this. She didn't choose this. And now she was tied to a king she barely knew. A king whose life depended on hers. A king whose enemies would kill her without hesitation. A king who now watched her with eyes full of something she couldn't name. Leora, Aldrich said gently, look at me. She didn't. Her voice cracked. Why did this happen to me? Aldrich hesitated. The first time she'd ever seen him uncertain. I don't know. A soft, painful silence filled the room. Then Aldrich stood slowly. I need to meet with the council. Leon will stay with you. You are not to leave this room until I return. Her head snapped up. Excuse me. For your safety. She stared at him, stunned. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He simply spoke like a king whose orders were law. I will return, he murmured. And when I do, I will explain the rest. He turned toward the door. And Leora, exhausted, terrified, furious, said the one thing she shouldn't have. Aldrich, he paused. Do you regret that I saved you? He froze. Every muscle in his body went still. Slowly, very slowly, he turned back to her. His eyes were darker now, deeper, less silver, more storm. No, he said softly, voice breaking just enough for her to hear it. I regret you were the one who paid the price. And then he walked out, leaving Leora trembling, the bond mark glowing like a brand she never asked for. Seattle never slept, but tonight it felt like the city held its breath. The penthouse windows reflected the storm clouds rolling over the skyline, wind slapping against the glass, as if the world itself sensed what was about to unfold. Leora stood barefoot on the cold marble of Aldrich Wexler's private chamber, her wrist still faintly glowing with the royal bond mark. She didn't understand it, didn't ask for it, didn't even believe she deserved it. But she felt it, a quiet pull in her chest, a warm tether, a sense that someone somewhere in the world had finally turned on a light meant only for her. Aldrich, he wasn't touching her. He didn't have to. His presence alone was gravity. He stood across the room, dark shirt unbuttoned at the top, exposing the black tattooed veins that curled across his pale chest. His expression wasn't cold tonight. No, it was something else. Something burning, restrained, terrified, hopeful all at once. You should rest, he said softly, voice deeper than she'd ever heard. Leora swallowed. You almost died. I thought I might lose you before I even knew why I cared. Aldrich inhaled sharply, as if her words touched a wound older than the country itself. He stepped closer, slowly, carefully, like a predator approaching something precious instead of prey. You saved me, he murmured. Only one human in 1,000 years has ever awakened the eternal bond. And she stands here, trembling, doubting herself. He reached a hand toward her cheek, stopped inches away, and lowered it. Leora blinked. Why did you stop? His voice cracked. I'm afraid. She stared at him. This immortal king, feared by every supernatural creature west of the Mississippi, admitting fear like a confession whispered on his last breath. What are you afraid of? She whispered. That if I touch you, he said, I won't be able to let you go. Her heart kicked, sharp and deep. Aldrich, I'm not going anywhere. He closed his eyes like the words physically hit him. But before he could respond, an explosion shook the penthouse. The lights flickered. The alarm blared. Glass cracked like spiderwebs. Aldrich snapped around, fangs sliding out. His aura exploded, silver light streaking through the room. They found us, he growled. Leora's pulse spiked. Who? The Coven of Thorns. The same scientist who poisoned me. They want the human who awakened the bond. The door blew open with unnatural force. A tall, bone-white woman with silver hair stepped forward, the rogue scientist herself. Dr. Malice Crow. Hello, Your Majesty, she purred. I see you failed to die on schedule. Aldrich shielded Leora instantly, placing himself between her and danger. Crow lifted a glowing syringe. Step aside. I only need the girl. You will not touch her, he snarled. Oh, but I will. She's the first human with enough energy to reboot royal vampire hearts. Imagine what her blood could power. I could create an entire army of kings. Leora's knees buckled. She's not your subject, Aldrich warned. She is my bonded counterpart. Crow's smile stretched unnaturally. All the more reason I want her. Aldrich launched at her. Crow pressed a control detonator. A blast ripped through the right side of the penthouse. Concrete shattered. Steel buckled. The sky opened in a storm of fire and glass. Leora was thrown backward, wind screaming in her ears, until Aldrich caught her midair and rolled behind a marble column. His body shielded hers completely. Breathing hard, he lifted her chin. Leora, look at me. I'm okay, she gasped. He shook his head. No, you're not, and I will not lose you. A surge of silver energy pulsed from his hand to her wrist, the bond mark flaring alive. Leora felt strength flood her veins. Heightened senses, sharpened breath, a strange electric heat under her skin. Aldrich, what did you do to me? The bond woke a part of you, he whispered. You're not fully human anymore. She didn't have time to process that because Crow fired a beam of ultraviolet energy at them, deadly to vampires. Aldrich shoved Leora out of the way. The beam hit him square in the back. He screamed, not a human scream, a feral, ancient guttural sound. Aldrich, he collapsed to one knee, smoke rising from his skin. Crow laughed, pathetic for a king. Leora felt something snap inside her. Fear? No, fury. The bond lit like a wildfire. She stood, heat swirling in her chest, her eyes glowing faint gold. Energy awakening where no human should have had any. She stepped in front of Aldrich. Don't touch him, she growled. Crow blinked, startled. Impossible. You shouldn't be conscious, let alone standing. Leora raised her wrist. The bond mark pulsed once. Then a wave of force blasted out from her like a shock wave. Crow flew across the room, hitting a pillar hard enough to crack it. Aldrich stared up at Leora, all replacing pain. You unlocked the bond. Leora turned to him, breath shaking. I didn't mean to. I couldn't let her hurt you. You chose me, he whispered. And I'll choose you again, she said firmly. Crow rose, bleeding, furious. This isn't over. Aldrich blurred forward, this time faster, stronger, fueled by Leora's energy. He seized Crow by the throat, lifted her off the ground, and slammed her into the glass wall. It is over, he said coldly, and with a twist of his hand, he destroyed the device controlling the toxin network she created. It shattered, sparks flying. Crow collapsed unconscious. Aldrich turned back toward Leora, breathing hard. The storm outside calmed. The alarms silenced. The bond on Leora's wrist dimmed softly, like a heartbeat. He approached her slowly, reverently. You risked your life again, he said. For me. You risked yours first, she whispered. His eyes softened. No coldness, no walls, no crown between them. Leora Hale, you were supposed to be a stranger. A maid, a quiet shadow in my hallway. He cupped her face with trembling fingers. But fate brought you to me. And tonight, you became the one thing I believed I would never have. What's that? She asked, voice breaking. He leaned close, forehead brushing hers. Hope, she exhaled shakily. Aldrich, tell me no, he whispered. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me this bond is only magic. Tell me you don't want me. She didn't answer with words. She kissed him, slow, deep, certain. The storm lights flickered again, but this time softly, warmly, like the city itself bowed to the moment. Aldrich wrapped his arms around her waist, lifting her gently as the kiss deepened. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, he murmured, You're mine, my equal, my fate. And you, she said, touching his cheek, are the king I choose. Aldrich exhaled like her words healed every century-old scar in his soul. Then he whispered against her hair, From this night forward, no throne, no coven, no power will ever take you from me again. Outside, dawn broke over Seattle. Inside, Leora Hale, once a struggling maid from South Carolina, stood in the arms of an immortal king. Alive, safe, chosen, loved, destined. For the first time in centuries, the vampire king smiled, and the world would never be the same. She saved the vampire king with a kiss and became the woman who changed his entire world forever. Thank you guys for watching.